Here are several thoughts on preventing attacks on Kerberos. Minimize the number and use of privileged accounts. For example, domain admins should never log on to non-domain controllers. Consider where you leave privileged account hash and whether it's really necessary. Privileged accounts should not have internet and email access, and the use of external media should be strictly controlled. Disable delegation for privileged accounts. They should be members of protected users group. Use the tools for scanning Active Directory discretionary access control lists mentioned previously to identify shadow admins, such as accounts granted rights to replicate AD objects. Evaluate the requirements for such permissions and remove the ones which are not required. Users and services accounts should be granted minimum possible privileges, so that even if they get compromised, they can't be used for compromising other accounts. Use managed service accounts to run applications and services. These have long passwords which are changed regularly, every 30 days by default, following the computer password change cycle. The MSA password change frequency can be modified in the host registry. Block lateral movement where possible, for example, in user and resource networks, using host-based and network firewalls. Use two-factor authentication and smart card where possible, especially for privileged users. Protect users' credentials with Credential Guard, Remote Guard, and network-level authentication. Use labs to randomize and strengthen local admin's password, or disable all local admins if not required. Disable NTLM for applications and services, where possible. Disable unsecure Kerberos delegation, such as unconstrained, resource-based constrained delegation, and protocol transition. Do not combine protocol transition with delegation to domain controllers. Disable non-AES 256 encryption types for all principals including domain controllers and KRB TGT account. Test it on clients and enforce it on domain controllers. Use read-only domain controllers in branch offices. If KRB TGT's hash is compromised on one of these, it cannot be used against the writable KDCs. Prevent memory dumps in operating system and hypervisors, and protect backups, especially those that contain password hashes such as Active Directory backup. Patch operating systems and applications timely to remove known vulnerabilities. Check the links in the transcript about recently patched Kerberos Bronze Bit attack vulnerability, in which an attacker was able to flip the forwardable flag bit on and obtain forwardable service ticket for highly privileged users, even if these were disabled for delegation. Protect the network from rogue clients using physical protection and .1x protocol with certificate-based authorization. Note that .1x can be bypassed with a hub. Deny non-admins right to create computer objects, as this can be abused in attacks such as those exploiting resource-based constraint delegation. This is done through etc at the domain root object. Use application whitelisting to control which software is allowed to run on the hosts, such as Windows built-in App Locker. Configure PowerShell constrained language mode, especially on clients, to limit it to basic functionality and reduce the attack surface on the system. Constraint mode is auto-enabled when PowerShell detects that App Locker is running in allow mode. Digitally sign custom code, including PowerShell scripts. Signed scripts allowed by App Locker policy will run in full PowerShell mode.